PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster who I don't really know what I'm doing because I just started recording this, but I'm glad you're here. I was just thinking about When Dogs Sigh. I don't know if that's another Prince song, but I wish it was. Think about it. Prince is somewhere with dogs sighing. Prince is probably rolling Prince's eyes while I'm doing this. But what could be a better honor? Prince, you could roll your eyes at me across the cosmos. It makes me feel good, even imagining it. Oh, it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And these sponsors are the way I'm able to be here for you. Thanks. Hey, I don't know if you've ever thought about becoming a patron, supporting the podcast, if you rely on it night after night after night, if you listen to more than a couple episodes a month. You know, a lot of work goes into the show, and the people that support the show on a monthly basis who pay for a free podcast, they do get a bunch of amazing extras, but most people don't just pay for it for the extras, like Steven, whose review I'm going to read here. Hey, my name's Steven, and I love to sleep. There are times, though, I wake up wide awake in the middle of the night. I started listening to the free version of Sleep With Me podcast, and I absolutely loved it. I like how it gives me a distraction and gives my mind a reason to wander, and I always go back to sleep. I know that quality productions like this take time and money, so when I heard about the option to support the show with a paid subscription, I was only happy to subscribe. You rock, Scooter. Thank you for what you do. I'm very grateful. I love the story-only episodes, including those that are all intros. I also love the fact that I can go back and listen to the older episodes. Good stuff. So thank you, Steven. If that resonates with you and you're in a position to support the show at $5, $10, or $20 a month, not only to support it for you, but for a lot of other people who benefit, thousands and thousands and thousands of listens every single night for free. So please consider supporting the show if you want it to be here for you and everybody else, if you get a lot out of it. And you want a little bit of fun stuff in return. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, sleepwithmepodcast.com/PATRON. You could sign up right now or do it tomorrow. Thanks. Everybody is a document sponsor. Tonight's episode of Sleep With Me is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. And, you know, I deal with, stress comes up for me all the time. And a lot of it is how I'm thinking and feeling, or how I'm thinking about my feelings and getting stuck in either my thoughts or my feelings instead of looking at my actions and taking constructive actions. You know, stress can come up in all kinds of ways, and in a world that's telling you to do more, sleep less, and grind all the time, this is a reminder to take care of yourself, do less, and maybe try some therapy. And talk therapy for me is a part of my week. It's actually right in the middle of my week. It's an anchor. It gives me a chance to take stock of how I'm doing, to talk to somebody that will listen and help me find the tools I need, that'll listen with compassion and empathy. And I love introducing people in my personal life to BetterHelp because it really helps them get past the obstacles that have kept them from going to therapy, whether it's cost, convenience, or just overall intimidation. BetterHelp makes it so easy. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try. And this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Sleep With Me listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/sleepwithme. That's BetterHelp.com/sleepwithme. Thanks and good night, everybody. All right, everybody. It is time to talk about my Helix Dusk Luxe. I love my Helix bed. I'm actually getting ready to do some traveling a few different places. And I'm not kidding. I'm not looking forward to it because I have not found a bed no matter where I stay. Like I'm always forlorn, tossing, turning, saying, oh, where has my Helix dusk gone. And the reason why is because one mattress does not fit everyone's needs. You say, oh, well, this one will fit most people's needs, not my needs. You know how Helix does it? Helix has a quiz that just takes 2 minutes to complete. Have you taken the quiz? HelixSleep.com/sleep. Takes 2 minutes to complete, matches your body type and sleep preferences to get the perfect mattress for you. Because why would you buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way you sleep. Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that, so they have several different mattress models to choose from. Soft, medium, firm, great for cooling you down if you sleep hot, great for spinal alignment to prevent morning aches and pains, even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. And like I said, I sleep hot, I toss, I turn, I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach, I'm moving all over. I have not found anything to compare. I took the quiz, I get matched with the Helix Dusk, I picked the Helix Dusk Luxe, and there's nothing that matches up to it. I'm so comfortable in my bed. So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever have to go to a mattress store again. So just go to HelixSleep.com/sleep, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that'll give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix even has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. And Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at HelixSleep.com/sleep. That's Helix Sleep, HELIX sleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, one part podcast where I got to pick up the pace because I need your help. I need the listeners who support the sponsors because that's what keeps the show free for anybody who wants to listen any place. Over 470 episodes in the archives, all because of the listeners who supported the sponsors. And that's why I take a second to thank listeners like Ashley and Misty who supported BetterHelp. Let BetterHelp know about it. Thank you so much, Misty. Thank you so much, Ashley. I could not do it without listeners like you supporting a sponsor like BetterHelp, letting them know about it, amplifying your support, saying, hey, you support Sleep With Me, I support you. I heard about you on the show. Thank you so much. The second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need, and there's links to resources you could connect with right now if you're having a tough time, right in our show notes. And it's about being a part of positive change with our actions, saying Black Lives Matter, saying stop API hate, saying support Ukraine, and there's links to resources, to ways you can learn more and support right in our show notes. And it's about supporting and getting involved with our actions as well for me. And one of the organizations you're going to be hearing about all year is the Midnight Mission. You know, the Midnight Mission is trying to move people from homelessness into housing by providing basic emergency and life-saving services. And you could always learn more at their website, which will be linked to in the show notes. But we are doing a lot of activities that are fun and supporting people experiencing homelessness. And all you need to do is sign up for our free newsletter. You'll get more access to me than anywhere else other than Patreon for free and have fun, including live events starting this month, April, at sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. So sign up for that newsletter. Please sign up for that newsletter. It's free. I'm going to be doing live streams. We'll be putting together hygiene kits. I'm going to be doing live shows. If we build it enough, I could come to your town, but it's going to take people just signing up for this newsletter and being a part of the community around the show. Please do that for me. If you're hearing me and you do one thing, sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. Please sign up for that. It's going to make a huge difference in a lot of people's lives, and you'll have fun and you'll be empowered to be a part of positive change. So support us, supporting the Midnight Mission, and wherever you are in the world, we'll be able to support you, supporting people experiencing homelessness in your community too. That's it. Mystery Bart. A lot of people who help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bart. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mr. Bart. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Please sign up for our free, fun newsletter supporting people experiencing homelessness, live versions of Sleep With Me, live watch-throughs, listen-throughs, all at sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. And that's it. Let's get on with the show. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep, but we do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, like things you're thinking about from the past, or the present, or the future. So thoughts, thinking stuff, thoughts and feelings, anything you're feeling emotionally coming up for you. So feelings, those are feelings. Sometimes I call them, normally I call them feelings or emotions. Or I usually just roll my, I'm trying to learn to embrace my feelings in a kind and loving manner. So feelings, physical sensations, so anything you're dealing with physically, any changes in time, temperature, routine, schedule, so life stuff. It could be anticipation. It could be something else. Like every time I have trouble falling asleep, I think, or trouble waking up, or trouble getting to sleep, I say, well, thank goodness I make this podcast because I can stay related to the listeners. So whatever it is that's keeping you awake, I'm here to take your mind off of that and keep you company. And I'm trying to establish a safe place that either you could come to, or I could send it to you, or I'll meet you halfway. I don't know who, was that from I know there's a song, Meet You Halfway Across the Sky. For some reason, I don't know if that's one of the great songs from a Fievel movie. I don't know if I've ever seen the movie An American Tale about Fievel, who was a mouse, I believe. My brother was a fan of An American Tale, it was called. And I think he even had a Fievel plush. I like saying Fievel. Somewhere out there, that's a song from that movie. Meet You Halfway Across the Sky. I don't know. Maybe is that a Christopher Cross song? I don't know. Way off topic. But I'm trying to create a safe place. Right, I said, okay, you could come here, and you could say, oh, I'm going to come in, I'm going to check it out. You could say, that's okay, I'm going to look at it at a distance, Scoots. So, and I say, okay, that works. I could send it to you, or we can meet halfway. We don't have to meet halfway. Who says that's kind of my all or nothing thinking. You say, why do we always have to meet halfway, right? Isn't that, they say, well, that's a compromise. You say, are you sure it's a compromise, or isn't this an all or nothing situation you've put me in, old idiom brain? Who are you calling an idiom? I'm not even sure if that is an idiom, but I feel like one. So I'm trying to create a safe place, and one of the ways I do it is I send my voice across the deep dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. So what that means is, I'm going to get mixed up, I'm going to go off topic, then I'm going to you've heard me do it already, get mixed up, then repeat something, then wonder what I forgot about, then try to rephrase it, then mispronounce it, then stumble over my words, then come back to another point. A little bit like, like I got gerbils in my brain. I don't know if that's, have I ever said that before? But I do have gerbils in my brain. I mean, not literal ones, and not even figurative ones, but something. Well, no, I guess I definitely don't have little, I hope I do, to goodness, I don't have any literal ones in there. I guess I only have figurative gerbils because they're not even, I can't even visualize them. So is it figurative? It's more like a simile, like it's like a gerbil in my brain. That's probably the best you say. Yeah, that's the first successful use of a simile. It don't have I guess you say, well, it could be like a metaphorical gerbil, probably not a figurative one, but it's a similean. The gerbils in my brain are simileans. They say, yeah, we're not gerbils. We're like gerbils. We move like gerbils. That's our only similarity to gerbils and our cute little tails. Other than that, we're just a combination of brain goo and electric synapses and some sort of cosmic, dark matter. A whole lot of dark matter up here. Matter in Scoots' brain, most of it's always been dark. It's like the shades of darkness up here. Oh, boy. So what was I saying? Oh, I got to go off topic. There you go. All to keep you company so you can fall asleep. Now, if you're new, show is very, very different. I acknowledge that. And I want to talk to you about it because I'm really here to earn your trust. But I will be straight with you that hundreds of thousands, if not more, probably pushing 1 million people have said, I didn't like the show when I don't want to brag, but millions of people have told me they didn't like the show. But maybe close to 1 million have said, I didn't like it at first, and then I tried it again, and I wasn't sure, and then the third time I fell asleep, or some sort of thing, because it takes 2 or 3 tries just because the show is so different. But also, if you've been trying stuff to fall asleep, right, you've been probably let down more than once. Or something's worked a couple times and it hasn't worked like on the regular. That's been my experience and a lot of listeners' experience. And I want to tell you like how Sleep With Me works. So you could just try it out and see. Like if you tried stuff for years, trying to sleep with me for a few nights and just seeing how it goes, hopefully it works for you. But it's it's a goofy, silly show. It's structured differently, and there's a bunch of caveats that I'll give you. Of course, this is made by a man with, like, similean gerbils in his brain. Actually, now they're figurative, or because they're wearing sashes that say similean. So there's already some sort of evolution happening with my brain gerbils. So a few things to know. First off, let me tell you why I make the show. There's 2 reasons I make the show. One, I've struggled with sleep my whole life, and I find it can be very frustrating. Right now, I'm having trouble with it. It can be make your regular day life challenging, and it can feel in the deep, dark night or the early hours of the morning, the wee hours, like lonely and upsetting. And I'm here to keep you company during that time or to take your mind off of that. So it's one of the reasons I make the show, because I know how it feels. But the more important reason is you. You really do deserve a good night's sleep. You really do deserve a place where you can get comfortable, get in bed, and drift off. And I really hope I can provide that for you or be a part of you getting the rest you need so that your life is more manageable. In that you don't dread going to bedtime. You say, well, I got this weird podcast I listen to, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's the goal of the show is you're important, your sleep is important, and I know how it feels. Now let's get to the other stuff. This is a podcast, believe it or not, that you don't really listen to. I think you probably already got that part. You just kind of barely listen. You say, okay, well, okay. Don't know what you're saying, but, okay. Yeah. Like kind of like that. You just kind of barely humor me. Or lower me down to just background noise, but it's something you just kind of barely listen to, or you slowly stop listening to me, or some point one of your parts of your brain says, yeah, we could kind of listen to this, but I don't need to stay awake for it. I can listen to it while I'm sleeping and I got the gist. He's going nowhere fast. So it's a podcast you don't really listen to. It doesn't really put you to sleep either. I'm here to keep you company so you can fall asleep, to take your mind off stuff, to be a friendly presence in the deep, dark night. I'm here for you. I'm here to be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar sib, your boar cuz, your boar bestie, your boar burr, your neighbor, your boar bud. I don't know what else. Boar bae. Did I say boar bae? That's the one I get a kick out of it, I guess. Your Barbara. So whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep. More so, you just wake up and you say, oh, I think I was listening to that podcast. I'm not exactly sure. So that's that. Then the structure of the show can also throw people off. So let me tell you why the show is structured the way it is. It's a very intentional structure to help the most people it can, and that people can kind of adjust how they listen. But that way, the structure also helps us keep the show coming out free and twice a week. So it starts off with a greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever witty thing I can almost say but not quite get there. That's silly. And they say, okay, so I feel seen and welcome, and I know the tone of the show is a little bit lighthearted about a serious subject. Quirky might be it's not a polite way to say it, but I've been called quirky more times than to my face, idiosyncratic. I'd say, thank you so much. Interesting. There's other terms. That's just how people describe me in my personal life, not even the podcast. So a little bit different. So there's that. Then there's support for the show via sponsors and listener support. So the podcast can come out twice a week for free on every platform, every podcast app. That's the best place to listen as a podcast app. Then there's support for listeners. If you're having a tough time right now, there's support for the communities around the show. So that's like the support and sponsors and stuff like that. Then there's an intro, which is separate from the support and the sponsors. Sometimes people are new. They feel like the intro sometimes gets lumped in with that. The intro is a bit different than that. It's a show within a show. And it runs from, I don't know, minute 6 or minute 8 to minute 20 or ish. And it's a show within a show to ease you into bedtime. It's where we've been here already 10 minutes together talking, I think. And it's where I unsuccessfully try to describe the podcast and how it works and everything. And it takes me forever, where, some other show would be like, bada bada boo. This is the podcast about, whatever. This is the Idiom podcast made by imagine if Idioms made a podcast about idioms. We're just a couple of idioms talking idioms with no sense of nothing ironic here either. No irony allowed. It says it on the front of the podcast. Only idioms. Also, look up what an idiom means so you don't look like an idiom tomorrow. That was a note to myself. What was I talking about? I said, wait a second, where can I listen to that show? Is it actual idioms that are, are they sentient idioms? Because we might be in trouble then. I mean, that could be something we might have to call who do you call? Really, if you found out you were dealing with sentient idioms and simile and gerbils, you'd say, you better call who would I call? Because probably there's going to be a phone tree and I wouldn't even know do I ask for an agent? Because I don't even know if those are just fictional movies. I really would not know who to contact. I mean, at least in the movies, you say, well, you contact Stark Enterprises or something. But in an actual situation, they'd say, don't worry about it. That's what they say to me because I've tried. I said, I got some sentient gerbils from the Simileans. And they say, son, I'm sure you do. That's usually, and then they pat me on the back. And then they say, it's all in your head, kid. I'm sure you do, though. Usually that's the subtext is it's all in your head. I'm sure you do. I say, I just encountered some sentient idioms. And then they don't even say anything. They just pat me on that one because they say he doesn't even know what idiom means in their brain. Their face says it all. Oh, I'm supposed to be introduced to a sleep podcast. So the intro goes on and on and on, as you've seen. And it's different every time because it's important for me that the episodes are different every single time so that your brain and those things keeping you awake can adjust. And so you have something to look forward to, something new. But it's also I almost said idiom by accident, but the intro eases you into bedtime. For a lot of listeners, they're doing something to wind down or they're in bed getting comfortable. And so it serves as a twilight phase between being awake and being asleep so that you can ease into bedtime. So the intro goes on and on and on. Then there's business again between the intro and the show, just so the podcast, that's just part of the structure, keeping it free. And then there'll be a story. Tonight will be our episodically modular story, Spice Friends. I think it's episode 8. And so that'll be fun. And you can listen to those in any order because they're episodically modular. So if I'll describe all the plot points before the story starts, so you won't miss out on everything. And then there's thank yous at the end. So it's the structure of the show. That's why I make the show. And I think that's it. I'm really glad you're here. Really appreciate you checking the podcast out. I really hope it can help you fall asleep. I work really hard. I yearn and I strive. So thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to do it for you twice a week. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots, and if you hear this spot, you've heard about our work to support the Midnight Mission, the fact we're building hygiene kits. If you hear this message, I would love for you to sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/Midnight Mission for our free newsletter, because I got a big announcement I'm going to be trying out here in April. I'm going to take all of the money we make from merch and all the money we make from sleep phones and use it to buy stuff for the hygiene kits I'm going to be doing for my local live shows. All of our profits for the show. So it'd be great if you sign up for the newsletter. That's a free way to help, and you could sign up to do more. But then I'm taking Sleep With Me's, the money we would normally make to put towards other things, we're going to use it to buy stuff for hygiene kits. So if you've been thinking about merch, now's the time to do it. sleepwithmepodcast.com/store. Buy some merch, and I'm going to use my part to buy supplies for our hygiene kits. And that's me putting my money right out there, right behind my actions. And the same thing goes for sleep phones. sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. And this can be an experiment to see what I can do with my investment and just kind of say, hey, you want to join me? There'll be ways at our newsletter, but sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones. Use our, what is that called? Oh, Sleep With Me to get $5 off the promo code. So sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones and sleepwithmepodcast.com/store. And I'll be using my proceeds to support the hygiene kits and the Midnight Mission. And, of course, those are both small businesses, Topatico and Sleep Phones. So you're also supporting some wonderful small businesses, too. If you hear this message, I would love for you to sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/Midnight Mission for our free newsletter. Thanks so much. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here. Welcome to another episode of Spice Friends. I believe this is episode 8, but you can listen to them in any order because it's our episodically modular serialized series. And when you say, how could it be episodically modular and serialized, Scoots, I say, let me ask you a question, okay? Fair question. Have you ever had cereal for lunch or dinner or dessert or a snack? And if the answer is no, totally cool. The answer could be no, could be I don't know, could be yes, could be maybe. And that's enough for a sleep podcast. That's like because the sleep podcast, while it goes out in the deep dark night, comes from the great gray zone we all live in. And cereal, you like most of the time for breakfast, but not always. Cereal also has broader definition than how I would define it. That means it comes in a box with hopefully a puzzle on the back that no longer contains toys, but unfortunately for the youth of today, maybe, I don't know. So episodically modular means you can listen to it in any order. I'm going to explain everything you need to know right now to take that off your plate. The only reason I number the episodes is because I know there's completists out there. So maybe you want to listen to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, if that's how many episodes we put out, then listen to 1 through 7. Or you may say, well, episode 8 was my favorite one. Oh boy, did the characters in episode 8 feel good about that. And this is one of those pause episodes where we get a little bit of a pause in the action. What is the action? Correct. Great question. So in a world like ours, pretty similar, it's not that far in the future, when all good tales, some of the tales I tell are told, we have our world, right? Pretty similar. Well, at the beginning of our story, it's pretty similar. And you may have seen some of this in movies, so I don't know if it's parallel timeline or whatever they call it, the scientists, but You know, when there's these movies that are called kaiju, it's like actually a soft way to say it, but maybe you have, but like big beings, forest friends and dino buddies and winged beings that they're really large, skyscraper sized. Furry mammals is another one, and they're running around our world. Right around, sometimes, I don't think, do they say this on, they don't say it on dating sites that I know of because I'm not on any. But like, and there's there was like this audio dating app. I said, well, that could cause problems for my job making a sleep podcast. But it's a nuclear. That's a word that I guess it wouldn't say. Like, here's a tip. Like you see, because they say, well, we're not I say, don't you know opposites attract? And they say, yeah, we're not opposites though. And I say, well, how do you say that word? That like, do you say which word? And I say the fusion word. And they say, do you realize I'm in your imagination and you're having I say, well, yeah, we got to have a conversation in my brain first before I even talk. You've never even spoken to me in real life. Right, because I'm having I'm supposed to be setting up a sleep podcast backstory, and now I'm having a conversation. Well, anyway, which word do you use? Because I just wanted to wonder, the only way you're going to find out if opposites attract or if we're opposites is talk to me. Okay, but do you say nuclear or one of the other correct pronunciations that I don't have within me? Okay, so anyway, right around the time those words came into parlance, these big beings started walking around our world, right? And they would make a big fuss and a muss and knock over buildings. And particularly, they had a thing for giant billboards and neon signs. There was video games based on them, everything, right? And a page of Rams. The video game was called A Page of Rams. I think they even made it into a movie. Oh, yeah, they did with The Rock. I've never seen it, but, right? Is that what The Page of Rams is called? Anyway, living in a world like ours with these big beings walking around, not exactly easy on your limbic system, eh? And so people said to their leaders, hey, can you deal with this? My car, I still had 2 payments left on that thing, and the big furry ape stepped on it. So at the time, the leaders here in the United States was President and Vice President Smith, the first father-daughter team, or whatever, I don't know, what do you call that, president, vice president. And they were dealing with it the best they could. They had to make a lot of tough choices, including President Smith eventually becoming a big one and then dealing with the big ones. They also sent a team of astronauts to another planet called Planet Zipper, that said they had a solution. They said, also, we're going to put everything on Earth into hibernation, because then while the astronauts come to our planet to learn the solution of how to deal with the big ones, you'll all be asleep, but the big ones, their metabolism's slow or fast or slow, something, because they're so big. So you'll all wake up first, and then you could get everything dealt with and get ready for dealing with the big ones when they wake up. Because when President Smith had to, he didn't actually deal with the big ones. He just brought them to Big One's atoll. It was a secret plan. And he ended up visiting the big farm in the sky. I think, actually, I got to check the episodes, because that could be a key continuity question. And Vice President Smith, she became president for a time. Then, of course, when this kind of stuff is going on and an entire planet goes into hibernation, tends to the national, things change. So then by this time, President Smith had left politics and leadership, then returned as president of the world, which is CN, the Collective Nations. One of the astronauts returned, only one, and said, hey, I've got the solution from Planet Zipper for dealing with the big ones. It's through children's programming, song and dance, teaching children to articulate their feelings through song and dance, or process their feelings through song and dance, something like that. Healthy boundaries type stuff. They didn't have this programming when I was a kid. It was like giant robots punching each other. And they were voiced by the same people that were like, anyway. So, so it ended up working, not in the way, it created these spice friends, which were also giant spices, which was kind of part of the branding. Planet Zipper was really good at this stuff. So they had already set up all the branding, all that kind of stuff. So giant, like cinnamon stick or whatever, was dealing with these big ones, the big beings. And it worked, and it kind of didn't work because it wasn't so clear, like, do a song and dance and a giant lime leaf will appear. It was a little bit more subtle than that. And I think, like, when you got giant furry apes walking around, nuance is not at the top of everybody's to-do list, right? And it's also confusing where are these beings coming from. There's like the astronaut was offering this manifestation theory, which just kind of seemed like, wait a second, so the atoms in the soil make the big ones. But, at the time, you say, okay, we'll put a nuance aside. We'll put these questions aside. We got to deal with this. But also, other people have other ways of dealing with things other than the way some people, everybody deals with things in their own way, including nation states, particularly under times when the intensity of feelings is strong. And so there was conflicts around how to deal with the big ones. Some people, some countries, or I don't think they're called countries anymore, but collective nations. I don't know. The other ones, they eventually became the big one nations, and they would align with the big ones. And then our Team Spice Friend, we'll call them, President Smith and the astronaut, and a large number of the collective nations, but not everybody. They said, okay, we got to get more, the big ones are active. We need more Spice Friends. They introduced these toys, like limited edition toys, but mass produced, but still limited edition when you're sending them out to the entire globe. Even 200 million, so limited edition. But I don't know if that's the number, so don't quote me on that. But so that did cause more Spice Friends to come and to distract the big ones. They started participating in what I would call parallel play. But they also seem like they're playing together. But that contemplative state you get into when you're doing some hardcore parallel play? Or at least I know who my introverts are. They're nodding their heads out there. Very meditative state. So that was the status of the big ones and the Spice Friends. But then with all the people, these toys kind of became a currency because it was global and people wanted them. People were participating in their manufacturing. They actually created a sense of, they were like a bit like a talisman, if you don't mind me saying. And people kind of got caught up in it. And then, of course, different people tried to control the flow of the what they started calling NFTs, new F-word toys, and things kind of fell into a little bit of a chaotic state, even without the big ones and the Spice Friends being occupied. And that created a global shift. Again, I'm giving you the summary here. Only taking me 20 minutes to summarize a 40-minute episode. Now, the president and the astronaut were sitting on this giant, they're slowly parceling out the toys, right? And they had their studio where they were kind of creating the Spice Friends with a team of writers and, experts at all that kind of stuff. And eventually the CN kind of became like aligned. I don't know. The socioeconomic politics is well beyond me. I don't even know if that's actually a word, but basically she lost her presidency of the world. They said, we're going to come take those toys because you're kind of have the last remaining large, it was Fort Knox, believe it or not, just like in the movies. And the studio is below Fort Knox, pretty secure. And that's kind of where we left off. So President Smith's lost her presidency of the world. They've lost their ability to broadcast the Spice Friends show and all the affiliated programming that supports the underlying well-being of children that somehow, by something we don't understand other than a theory, creates the Spice Friends, which, so not a good situation, though when we last left off, the big ones in the Spice Friends were still participating in parallel play. As far as we know, though, because the broadcasting, they were only receiving news into the Fort Knox facility. So actually, they don't have any way of confirming anything. They don't have a way to contact the outside world. And, they're trying to get in and take the toys. And for once, this picks up not that long after we left off without further ado, straight from Hollywood, in only what should have been a 5-hour drive, but somehow it took 6.5. Not that I'm counting, because he does it for free as a hobby, just for the listeners. The man who has the loudest spirit and soul on the planet, because even when he's not moving or in total stillness, somehow he projects a sound that would be described as shiny. Even they say, what does shiny sound like? I say, when you hear it, especially when you hear it in your headphones, a low, shiny sound, like a humming soul. Well, more like an angel. I mean, again, I talk about these angels because I think they just love him, understandably. And I think sometimes they're just sitting around watching him lie on my bed, which has 3 comforters on there, like that are just for to silence him and, keep my bed, I say there's only so much intimacy I can handle, even with Antonio Banderas and his booties that I have him wear and his special outfit that he changes into, which now they tell me is scrubs. My neighbors, I got a call from one of my neighbors. They said, is Antonio Banderas changing out of his clothes into scrubs in his car in your parking spot? And I say, I'm sorry. I said, no, I don't have. I said, no, I don't need a new car warranty. I just say, no, I don't have a car. I don't need a new car warranty. Thank you. So that keeps, that's how my life goes. So without further ado, straight from Hollywood to your hearts, Mr. Antonio Banderas. Thank you, Scooter. This is the ladies, this is the gentlemen, this is the boys, this is the girls, the friends beyond the binary. It's time for a journey, a spicy journey with its spice friends. Spicy. Yeah. Thank you, Scooter. I so glad to be here, intimate with you, because the true intimacy takes place when we play a game and I see the real you. Yeah. Oh, you got me, man. Talk about the key to see. Do you see the real, do you like the real me? I guess you do, because we keep playing board games after I force you to not move for an hour. So I guess that's a relief, but now I'll be thinking about it the whole time we're playing, especially when you're watching me with those knowing eyes and that knowing smile that makes me feel warm and inside and feel like I'm humming a shiny song. Well, maybe what that song Shiny's about. Maybe do you know if that dude wrote it about you? Okay, that's Antonio Banderas. This is Spice Friends. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so I think you can hear me through this event. So I guess it's like our recordings, and you're the only person I can communicate with, but I need to communicate with you now with some immediacy because we got stuff going on. I don't think they've gotten to the toys yet, but our staff, understandably, at my behest, has said, okay, we're going to pretend that we have, they put us in these 2 adjoining rooms and said we're on timeout, and our staff is, but that I am not able to, which is true, only I can unlock the facility. And the staff is hoping I'll tell them how to unlock the facility, which I think we will do once we have a plan. Because they still are having trouble getting in to access the toys. They don't want to destroy the toys, so they're being cautious. And you say, wow, what a, this is the collective nations and the big ones nations' best, no offense, but not impressed that they can't get in here. Which tells me that there isn't a unified front, right? If they were unified, then the smartest people in the world would say, oh, okay, you just hit that. I mean, I don't know if this would work. Blue wire, green wire, pinky touch it to metal or something. But I'm also you could probably hear the tension in my voice. I'm no longer president of the world. That's kind of it's kind of a relief and not a relief, especially seeing the leadership that's going on and trying to get into this building. But we've gotten information. You've listened to it because they're broadcasting. They're only allowing us to watch certain broadcasts. And this is a question I had been thinking in the back of my mind the whole time. Your story about, we had to put some feelings on hold and some doubts on hold to move forward. What happened to the other astronauts? What exactly happened on Planet Zipper? Why do you seem so confident and so sad at the same time? And I tamped those down, which I've kind of learned. There is some boundaries and compartmentalization that sometimes I needed to do to operate in my leadership roles. And even looking back on it now, I think we chose the best path. So that's why I'm dealing with this now. Also, we have nothing else to deal with, and we have to come up with a plan. And this is the only process I can see, because I need to know if I have to do this on my own with my staff and those people, or we could do this together. And I don't know if we can, because I don't know if I can trust you, right? And that's as plain as I can put it. The news has been coming in that Planet Zipper has contacted the big one nations, or I think they're calling themselves the Bontons, but they've never explained what the big one nations, they never said what TONS stands for, or I guess S would be plural. Big ones nations together, one nation, but that doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the best I could figure it out. Big ones together, one something, maybe. I don't know. Bontons. Also, I don't even know I know Bontons are like, I don't, oh man, so I don't know if I could trust you. I don't know I need to know what happened on Zipper. If they really why is Zipper contacting the Earth now? Why didn't they contact it before? You said they couldn't, or they wouldn't, or maybe you said you don't know what happened because the time you left, it's the time you arrived. I think you just acted surprised. I don't know. My head is bouncing around. But the message on the news is that you're not to be trusted. And that, therefore, I'm not to be trusted. And my staff is confused, but they still trust me and want to trust me. Me? I'm wondering, I think I can trust my best judgment, and I did the best I can, but, I need to know what happened. I need to know, that's where we're at in this situation. So tell me what happened and start at the beginning. But we don't have a ton of time either. So don't talk like you normally, try to get to the point. And why should I trust you? Thanks, Madam President. I know you don't want me to say that, but should you trust me? It's a fair question. And I say, should you trust me? I'll tell you what happened, and then you can decide. I guess I'm partially surprised. I was hopeful if Planet Zipper contacted Earth, if they did that, but I'm not surprised either, and we'll get to that. So what happened? I mean, you know my file. I don't have a storied history or family or kind of, I was a nobody. And I got chosen for the team to go to Planet Zipper for one reason and one reason only. Like I was the support systems expert, and I was good at my job. I had come to my career a little bit later in life than a lot of people do. And you know my history. I didn't live a perfect life. I lived a much less than perfect life, and wasn't all, I didn't, you know my past, and maybe not all of it, but you know enough. But I'm a human being, right? And I poured myself into support systems, and I know that there was many other people in line for this job, but they needed someone that could handle everything. Because what they don't talk about is, and why support systems are why this space travel is so limited, or why we haven't done it, and why we needed a little bit of extra help from Planet Zipper. Because when they say support system, you say, oh, you just get in that pod, we'll put you, we'll turn it on, you'll sleep, and then before your destination, it'll turn on. And, the artificial intelligence will handle it, and the automated backups and all that stuff. And some of support systems is supporting the systems that enable that stuff to happen, that the other astronauts can get the rest they need for the takeoff and the landing. Those are the hard parts. Or if something unexpected were to come up on the journey, or the navigator, if something was to go off and whatever, I was just there for support systems. And some of that is hardware, some of it's software and redundancies. But a lot of it is what I guess we would term maintenance, because we're human beings, right? And human beings are gunky. And that's like the biggest part of support systems that nobody talks about is the gunk. Whatever, we're breathing, our breaths are humid. You just, I'll leave it at gunk, Madam President, because you said to stay on topic. So for me, it wasn't restful because I had to get up on a regular basis. Either something had to be changed because of one of the redundancies of a filter, but there's also a lot of wiping and cleaning and flushing of systems. That's the support systems that see. I guess it's just too boring and gunky. You say, well, I don't want to know about gunk in space. But it's really something that even engineers, I guess, as human as we are and as egotistical as all humans can be, we always underestimate the gunk. And I'm not talking about, the gunk that you don't want to think about. It's like the gunk you're not aware of, like when you rub your hands together and you say, oh, I'm making pencil, those whatever. That's the kind of gunk I'm talking about. And that adds up. So I would get up on a much less restful basis. So my aging and my experience of time space was not the same as anyone else's. And I was alone a lot of times while everybody else was at rest. And I mean, let's just, if my job was support systems, Madam President, I failed at my job. I took my job seriously, too seriously, not seriously enough, all at the same time. But there's also another kind of gunk, Madam President, right? Between the synapses or in our hearts, in our souls or whatever. And I don't know, Madam President. All I can tell you is I did not do my job. I chose to try to escape from those gunky feelings on our way to Zipper. And the stuff started to add up with my rest. And so I did not support all of the support systems. And I failed at my job. And you could read in between those lines because I want to keep it going. So finally, we arrived at Planet Zipper in the state I was in. Then I was fully alone. And I had thought about, again, I didn't know what I was going to encounter at Planet Zipper. We'd never had any contact other than the big ones with life that could have been from another planet, other than audio contact and beams and stuff like that. So, I told when I arrived at Planet Zipper, there was a lot of just communication at first. They could speak in English and communicate clearly, and they had learned that. And they said they were going to slowly prepare me. And I said, yeah, there was like a malfunction is what I called it. It wasn't, I malfunctioned, but, and they said, okay, don't worry. We'll work this all out and we'll help you, deal with these feelings. We'll help you get through this because obviously, and we'll help to prepare. And they said, it's actually like, okay, like, you're going to have strong feelings about meeting beings from another world. And, inside I was a bit detached, which kind of like you said, Madam President, it may have inadvertently served me or be a liability that was also an asset because I was able to go through these stages of trying to cope with what happened and my inability to cope and eventually being prepared for meeting beings from another world. They had all that set up in a very similar way to what we've been doing here. So I saw the process work to heal me. And one of the things that they did on Planet Zipper, one of the things you need to know about Planet Zipper is that, I used to think it was just a great love of humanity, and that's what they showed me is how much they love humans, that they are, so Planet Zipper is made up of once was made up of just collective beings. One collective being that could express itself is confusing, Madam President. I don't know how else to describe it. Because you say, wait, you're one being, but you're presenting yourself to me as an individual being. Oh, it's easier for you as a human to connect with us. But also, I'll explain more later. But at that time, they would show me, and they would what I thought was love could have been another thing that's like like there used to be a perfume or a cologne called Obsession by somebody. But they would watch Earth and humanity in this distilled way. They had ability, I don't know, like whatever their ability, I don't know if it's telescopes or beams or stuff on Earth, but they would show me these moments. And I don't know, maybe it was because I was gone. Maybe it was because of the choices I had made not to get my job done. But, just watching somebody skin their knee and get back up in their face and their feelings, it was like I could feel it. And it made me love people in a new way. And and again, there was other stuff going on, a lot of stuff that they had learned from watching us, healthy stuff that they were teaching me to help me recover. And this was over, a period of time. And so I really started to love people again. And, I got better, I guess, and I started to do this, and they said, I said, okay, now I'm feeling better, and they said, well, this is, how am I going to save the world? I have to save this humanity. It's really important to me now. And they would laugh, and they said, don't worry, we're teaching you how to save humanity, and the why was obvious, right? And I felt good, but I also felt like something off, but I guess I thought it was me that was off and not Planet Zipper, because what I'd been through, right, that it was me that had like this mark, which is true, I guess. I don't know. But I said, this is worth saving, of course. Maybe on the journey out, that hopelessness had guided my choices in some sense, because things did seem so stacked against us being successful. or even getting to Planet Zipper. And then I started to learn more, not just about, okay, song and dance, and how to participate in the planning and watching all this research they had gathered. And these companies they were starting, they didn't know they were being funded and controlled by Planet Zipper. But I started to learn more about Planet Zipper, that it was, I guess, out in outer space in the universe, there was once a lot of these planets made up of a collective consciousness being or beings, similar to what Planet Zipper was. Maybe there's other versions of it. That's kind of like a collective, but also can butt off or form itself into an individual, or create an individual thing to kind of solve. I think, I don't know, because trees don't have consciousness, right? Like aspen trees. But they were also, their planet was going through this conflict, right? But they also believed in evolution. And so they said, well, we're evolving, and some of us evolve into individuals, or we butt off into individuals, or then we reabsorb, and I don't know, a little bit beyond what I can process, because I'm just me, right, Madam President? But that was also causing some tension, right? Not everybody, any kind of change, even if it's slow evolutionary change, once you have this consciousness of the change, it also comes with some conflict. So on the whole planet, it was a little bit of like, should we keep allowing this more defined budding of individualism, or should we just keep the collective? And that it was associated with the love of Earth, watching individuals. Now, why was this really important, and why was this conflict increasing? Well, because, like I said, there used to be other planets of the same being, and they were in contact with one another. You could say they were collective individuals, right? Other planets with another collective individual on it. Organic, like us, but different. But they kind of told me their history, and that why the big ones were so important, and why helping us was so important, was because the big ones, that was why there was no more. They were the last planet, the last of their kind, and that they were afraid of the big ones, and that right now, something had brought the big ones to Earth or made them manifest, and they didn't know when they would, and they thought like this conflict had something to do with it, but it was important for them to solve for their own. And again, that also within their own conflict was that thing of like, well, if we're individuals, then we're no longer what we are. And we need to preserve this collective way of being, this collective being. So just like the drive we all have, in some sense, the drive for life. And the other thing I learned, because I was healing, was that in this collective organism, this collective being, it had feelings like we do. I don't know if that's part of consciousness or not, emotions, but that their emotions were much more powerful because they were a collective, right? And one way they demonstrated it was the what do you call it? One, they used it to help me to heal, but they also used it to hibernate. That was how they kept the hibernation going and started the hibernation. It wasn't just a hibernation ray. It was them kind of putting our planet into hibernation with their feelings, some sort of comforting, I don't understand again, but like triggering some sort of deep instinctual drive for rest to preserve the well-being of our planet. That's what they told me. And so they kept training me, and, I became very engaged. I was driven. I've said, well, I still am not comfortable, but I guess I kind of understand this, but I could see the conflict within their way. And I said, well, geez, conflict is our way too. Sometimes the conflict is just there under the water, right? Just like on Earth. And so we really focused, and they kept teaching me and showing me, okay, if we can help you deal with your feelings, then you can we think you could create these spice friends, right? And that the spice friends will kind of counteract the big ones. And then that's when I made the connection, right? That's where my manifestation theory came from that I presented to you, because it sounded so sound, even to me. I said, okay, so wait a second. Is that your theory? They let me lead myself to my own conclusion in some sense, Madam President. I said, so the big ones are from our feelings about our powerful discoveries in science that, and then people choosing to use that science in an offensive way that could have, big consequences, like those feelings deep down created the big ones, and they kind of made me believe that, let me believe that I was correct. And then it made perfect sense. Oh, okay. It does make perfect sense beyond, accepting some things I don't understand. Okay, then of course this training you're giving me can create the solution. If we could create the problem, then we can create the solution. If our feelings manifested the problem, then our feelings can manifest the solution. And I started to feel more and more confident, right? My doubts had kind of been, and they said, you just have to trust that this is going to work. You just have to trust that this is going to work. But I had seen it work on me, and I had reached an acceptance of my choices and the consequences, and written letters and all those kind of things. And and then I said, well, when am I going to get back to Earth? And they said, okay, well, we're really, I started to see more and more distraction and feel more and more tension between these semi-individuals and the collective. And they said, yeah, we're working on when, and but I had the access to the same clock you had on Earth. They no longer were able, they couldn't, they'd used up so much of that feeling or whatever. It wasn't like they could just put the big ones back. And they didn't seem, or that's what they said. They said, well, we can't access that. We won't be able to put the big ones back to sleep without putting the whole planet back to sleep. And we wouldn't be able to do that until, and I said, okay. But it felt like people were looking at me, especially the more defined the individual parts of this collective were, that, and I know, Madam President, I'm asking you to trust me on something I can't even describe clearly, because it would, I don't know how to describe it. I don't think my brain even was, but so they would talk to me, and it just seemed like there was more and more tension growing and more sadness for me, even though I believed this was going to work. I'd kind of felt it. I said, this is going to work. But I also had, become quite interested in their history and what history I could access, mostly through spoken word and talking and saying, hey, tell me about this. And that's when I made this accidental connection, Madam President, which was like, well, when did you start watching Earth? Because that is where, like I said, is this a love of Earth or something? Sometimes I would feel, especially from the collective, something beyond even a matriarchal or patriarchal loving relationship or a friendship, or even like a lover, something that is just on the dial a little bit outside of my comfort zone. But again, I thought it was me. But that was when I found out they discovered Earth because of those same tests, before the big ones had appeared, one of the, that was when they became aware of us, that it had kind of been like a sound or whatever, a vibration. And that's when they fell in love with Earth. As soon as they discovered it and saw it, and then especially, and I think from my understanding is they thought Earth would satisfy their need for individualism. And for a lot of the large, again, I guess it's confusing, but if you look at it like a pie, that's only part of its cut. You don't cut the pie in half and half again, but if only one part of the pie has individual pieces, like that's kind of what Planet Zipper was like at the time I was there. They said, okay, well, maybe this will satisfy most of our needs for individualism. And these other buds, well, maybe they'll keep evolving. Maybe they'll become individuals. But the majority of our world, the last world, will stay this collective. And maybe one day we can move outside of this collective. But really, we have to find a way to keep this collective going. So this thing with Earth, it was less just about love than about utility. And then again, that struck me in a feeling place, and they had been the ones that made me so sensitive to my feelings. And so in my spare time, I started working on my feelings about this. I said, geez, I don't know about this relationship they have with Earth. It's a little strange to me. It doesn't just feel like a loving friend or like a pen pal or something like that, you know? So, yeah, I guess it's confusing, Madam President. I keep going on and on and on because I guess the stuff about trust was that my trust started to slip away with Planet Zipper. Where I was like, wait a second. And then I kept asking again, when am I going to go to Earth? What's going on with this tension? It's pretty apparent to me that there's a tension going on. And I know this is going to work. Why don't I, the clock is rolling down. I would have to leave by this point. And we were getting close to that 0 hour. And finally, I started to chip away. Because at first I could just feel it. I could feel their feelings, right? You can only, if you're in a planet of intense feeling, well, that factors into what I discovered, Madam President, was that they were at this decision-making point because someone let us, well, we haven't decided if you're going to go or not. And I said, what do you mean you haven't decided if you're, and they said, well, we've been doing these other tests and we're just trying to decide. And I said, well, I'm going back to Earth, you have to help, and they said, well, and they said, don't worry. Well, we're going to find the middle way, right? We're going to preserve things here and preserve Earth, Earth. And I never had heard that before. Preserve Earth. What do you mean? They said, well, we need you. And I said, I thought you were helping us. I know you like us. And they said, but you need us? This was the parts I thought I was friends with, right? So what do you mean you need me? And I don't know, eventually between my asking questions and my own feelings and letting my feelings go and then being open, I figured it out. It's like, the big ones aren't like the big ones, and maybe even the Spice Friends, Madam President, they're from like they're not just manifest. They're like they're like a budding of Planet Zipper, like a pure individual from this collective being, but a pure one of one feeling, and somehow it's related to our feelings, not exactly like maybe because it's traveling, but that you know what I mean? Like they're budding off, but just their raw feelings and energy So it is a part of it is a being, a conscious, somewhat conscious being, but it's just one raw emotion, raw, intense emotion. This is the best I could figure out, Madam President. So my manifestation theory was true because they were saying, well, maybe their theory had the whole time had been, well, we could save Earth if we can do the same thing with positive feelings, and if Earth can kind of tease it out of us because we're so into Earth. And then, because that's where the big ones, that's how the other planets had gone. The feelings had consumed created individual beings that had then consumed the planet, to put it mildly. All the other planet zippers or whatever they were called. And the only difference between this planet zipper and the other ones was they had discovered Earth. And so we were kind of like a playground for their feelings. And they said, well, we could keep this playground going. And if we could keep our feelings projected outward onto Earth and then teach Earth to project their feelings, or, you know what I mean, Madam President? I know it's confusing, but it's what I figured out. But there was one other thing I figured out. Well, one, I said, well, I have to get back to Earth. And I said, I said, okay, if this is what your motive is, but we could cope with things, just let me go to Earth then, right? Like, I can live with it if it's going to work, right? If I can save Earth, if I could be a part of it, get rid of the big ones, stop the big ones, control them, or at least keep them counterbalanced, whatever the result is, we know this will work. Why can't I go to Earth right now? We're ready. And finally, some people said, we've decided to, we're still having this discussion and this vote and these algorithms or whatever to make a final decision. And I said, well, what's the decision between what I'm saying and what? And they said, well, there is a theory that we'll be able to project all of our negative, strong emotions, like empty out our entire ability to create big ones onto the Earth, and to keep doing that, and maybe just keep it like maybe there's a way we could just kind of use the positive energy to keep, so Earth would just become a place of big ones, and then maybe some spice friends slowing things down. And they said, yeah, maybe just only big ones, that your ability to adapt would be enough, and that you would become a place, because of the individualism and because we're not them, that would be okay, right? And of course, Madam President, I said, we got to get me out of here. I can't believe you would vote that way, or that you would decide these things. But you have to let me go back to Earth and save Earth, and try. And so they snuck me out, and I headed back here. And I just hoped, I mean, I knew we would have this conversation at some point when we were ready. And there's just so many other doubts to overcome, Madam President. I thought about it in the times I was awake on the return. And luckily, Planet Zipper had, they taught me how to deal with the gunk inside me, and the, organic gunk too. But I thought a lot about it, and I said, there's no way I can just load all this on you and then ask you to believe me. I guess I would have to earn your trust and then lose your trust to get it back. And that we're also in a position now where apparently, I don't know how things turned out on Planet Zipper, but we have to figure this out together, and we'll get through it, just like we both know all will be well. And I don't know how, Madam President. That's what okay. We'll figure, I know that you're the leader we need right now, and that we're going to get there, and maybe we should just rest while and give you space to see if you could trust me, whether you can do it on your own or I can help you, Madam President. I'm here. And that's where we're at right now. So I'll talk to you. I'm going to rest now and get some sleep. And remember, all will be well. Good night, Madam President. All right, I want to thank everybody that reviewed the podcast recently. Somebody said it sounds like I haven't left the house in 12 days and I need to calm down. But that's understandable. But then somebody else said 5 stars isn't enough. XOBR said, I tried to listen to this podcast for over 3 years. It never worked for me. A few weeks ago, I was dealing with a lot, and I Googled sleep podcasts again, and as usual, Sleep With Me was at the top. I finally clicked on it, and it worked. Scooter is my friend in the deep, dark night, and you can depend on him. I used to be one of those people that skipped until 20 minutes, and now I listen to the intro as I get ready for bed. Could not sleep without Scooter at this point. This podcast is invaluable. Thank you so much. This is really nice of you, and I'm glad you tried it again. Patricia, sleep finally. This is the second review I've ever written about Sleep With Me. Oh, no, I've ever written in my life. Learned about it in 2016 from New Yorker. From the moment I first listened, this was the one. I tried reading science books, Gregorian chants, but my mind would not quiet down. Scoots is a perfect mix of just interesting just enough and droning enough to surrender to sleep. And we happily pay every month to support the podcast. Best money we spend all month. You're a gift. Thanks. And they miss Trending Tuesdays. We still do Trending Tuesdays. We just don't use Twitter. We usually so the randomization isn't as obvious, Patricia, but almost all the Tuesday episodes are based on some sort of other randomizer. Ellen says creaky dulcet tones. It can take a few episodes to get used to. Letting this podcast lull you to sleep. Once you're at that point, you're set for life. And I think that's all the recent reviews. Thanks everybody for reviewing the show. Thanks everybody for supporting the show on Patreon or supporting our sponsors. That's how we're free twice a week for anybody that wants it. And what else? I don't know what else. Couldn't do it without you. You could spread the word about podcasting in general or the show. But yeah, that's we've got over 450 episodes in the archives now, thanks to these Tuck You In sponsors and the people that support all our sponsors. So here's a little bit more for you. Good night. Hey, everybody, before I tuck you in, I'd love for you to sign up for our newsletter at sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnightmission. Please sign up. We're going to be doing free streams, listen backs. We're going to be building hygiene kits to support people experiencing homelessness. But I can't do it without your support. I need you and a few other listeners to sign up. If you could sign up, if you're listening to back-to-back episodes, and you're not drifting off, or you could remember tomorrow, sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnightmission. Make a huge difference. We're going to have an impact on people who are out there sleeping in the deep, dark night, and we can help them with some small steps and some small actions. Thanks so much.